Okay, welcome to Toastmasters. This is Heart-to-Heart, and we're really pleased and honored to have you with us tonight. And we hope that you enjoy your experience here at Toastmasters. Toastmaster is still out of the room, so we'll wait for her to come back. But in the meantime, we have roles that are assigned. And let's see, what role are you going to have tonight, Cynthia?
Well, I can do the romantic tip when we're
Okay.
ready, but if you want to start
Okay.
with maybe the guests.
Yeah, so we have a number of guests. Can you say who you are, please?
Yes, hello everyone, I am Mary Hanson, a member of Sun Valley 998 and occasional visitor here. So.
Nice.
All right.
My name is Heather, and I'm here for the first time.
All right.
Aileen Hepner, also here for the first time.
Great, thank you. And you?
My name's Michelle Renwitzky. I'm a realtor in the local area and also a member of the Life Goes On Foundation. It's a nonprofit organization against gun violence.
Great,
Oh, wow.
thank you. Okay, and then?
My name is Beverly, and this is my first time, and I'm here to check you guys out.
All right. And our Toastmaster is here now, so why don't we turn the meeting, you're not a guest, I've seen you before.
Well, I
Used to be a
am.
member.
Oh, okay.
My name is Lexi Bennett. I'm a former member of this club and former member of a number of clubs, but I love Toastmasters. Been in it way too long.
All right, thank you. Welcome. Okay, without further ado, our Toastmaster, Ernestine.
I'm sorry I wasn't here to get all your names, and since I'm name challenged, probably just as well because I'll never remember all of them. You all need name tags.
And I can do the romantic tip,
Yep.
Ernestine. I can do the romantic tip. I can do the romantic.
Oh, good, good. Okay, then I will, okay.
And Patricia's our timer. Do you have the cards? Oh, do you have the cards, the time, and the timer?
They're in the bag. In the front pocket, there is a timer and the colored cards. I hope they're in the front pocket. Now, in Toastmasters, when people give speeches, we time them because when you're going to give a speech, you have to practice it. And when we have manuals that we get when we join Toastmasters, and there's a certain prescribed time for each type of speech that you do. And so the timer's job is to time the speeches. It may be 5 to 7 minutes, it may be 4 to 6, it may be 20 minutes. It just depends on what your speech is about and how long the manual suggests that you take. So that's why we have a timer. And our timer, and then to start the meeting, we have a romantic tip. And I will call on Cynthia Scott, who is going to give us the romantic tip for today.
Okay. I think I told this in December, but there was only 3 of us here. So Ernestine, if you remember this, just forget that I told it. So my romantic tip is that it's most romantic because we're also for all relationships, but it can work with all relationships, is looking at what the person needs in the moment. And so, I think it was 1997, I was in England and Scotland and traveling around for 3 weeks, and at the end of the 3 weeks, I was traveling with my husband, and I was tired, and I was sick, and I was hormonal. And this is a really bad combination, especially on vacation. And we were in London, and I don't know if you've ever been to London, but the rooms are very tiny. And there was a little tiny bed shoved up against the wall, and you had to like scooch around. And in the bathroom, when you sat on the toilet, your knees hit the tub. So, squelched, not feeling well, hormonal, pissed off. And I said, I'm gonna go take a bubble bath. I need some space. And I go into the bath, and I run the bath, and I'm sitting in there, I'm like, okay, I can relax. And then in comes my husband, and I'm like, I said, what do you want? He goes, I brought you chocolate.
Oh,
And he fed me in the tub. And everything melted. And I was in a great mood.
wow.
And by the way, chocolate, especially combined with almonds, is a PMS cure. So keep them handy. That's my tip.
We have a slight change here.
Tyree's going to do the speech instead of me.
Okay, you're gonna do it next month.
Right.
Okay. It says that Ken Burkowski is the speaker, but he's taking pictures. And so Tyree Johnson is.
Point of order, could you please introduce me as
Oh,
a general evaluator? That's what it says on the agenda.
That's it.
And if you need a grammarian, I can do that too. Because nobody got one.
Okay. You have a word?
Sure. Word of the day is spring.
Friend?
Spring.
Spring.
In any format. Yeah,
Spring.
spring, sprung. And then I'll count any ums and ahs. Feel free.
Okay.
Not for you though.
Don't worry.
We usually have the general evaluator.
Yes,
running
okay.
the meeting.
Okay.
Okay? Well, I'm gonna move Ken down to here before the other evaluators.
And is Philip going to do the other speech? Speakers?
Tyree is going to be speaker.
I can evaluate.
Do we have two
Yes, you can.
speeches or just one?
Right.
Okay. Tyree Johnson has been a Toastmaster for a long time, has been in many contests, and I know we're looking forward to a great speech. And the title is Character versus Identity. Tyree.
Timer, before you start, I just want to explain particularly for our guests, this is from our Competent Communicators Manual. It's called an icebreaker, and really my objectives are really just to stand before you and give a speech as an opening body conclusion, but also that it does tell you something about who I am.
7 minutes.
Yeah, 5 to 7 minutes. Welcome. I don't know if any of you are chronically hip, but there was a rapper by the name of Eminem who had a song called My Name Is Slim Shady. I remember hearing this song, and to be honest, the words were kind of catchy but nonsensical, but I really liked the beat. But over time, I was like, my name is. Why would someone ask that rhetorical question over and over and over again? Well, in Eminem's case, it was really a very creative construct, because his real name is Marshall N. Mathers. M-N-M. I was like, oh, that's why he says my name is an alias. But I said, even though I heard that song and Eminem is creative, it is not original. Because standing before you is Edsel Tyree Johnson Jr. Now, my friends have known me by Mr. Reed, and I'll tell you how you get that. Is anybody who calls me Edsel because I'm junior really thinks I owe them a lot of money, or they don't know me very well. I've always been known, and this club always has known me as Tyree. I've always gone by my middle name. Even when my mother was mad, she never called me Edsel. That was for my dad. But when I got to college, I went to a jazz club with some buddies of mine, and there was an artist by the name of Sun Ra. And if you ever get a chance to listen to Sun Ra, he was well ahead of his time. He implemented dancers in his performance, had a big band, would sometimes play very orchestrated music. He was just way, way out there. And he would stop in the middle of his performance and say, "Some people call me Mr. Ra. Some people call me Mr. Reed." Now let me tell you, my friends who were in various states of inebriation said, "He's not Mr. Reed, you're Mr. Reed." Because they always called me Reed for short. And I would accept that. But when they said Mr. Reed, I was like, have a little dignity. I don't care what state of inebriation is, this always starts with a Mr. And that was all well and good, and in fact, I carried that on when I played different sports, particularly if I played a game of one-on-one in basketball or in soccer. I would always say, "You know what, you may have the ball now, but it belongs to a mystery till you solve it later." And I say that because that can be an identity. Slim Shady, Mr. Reed, Edsel Johnson, that's the person who still owes you money. But does that define who you are? Is your identity who you are? I propose to you who I am is based on my character. Who do I unveil myself to be to you? Now, some of you are just meeting me for the very first time. So I hope that this speech will allow you to give me more chances to unveil more of myself to you, and then you likewise to me. But for those of you who have known me for some time will know that I put a great deal of weight in the words that I share, but more so in the actions that I give. There's a person who, in history, who really epitomized that for me, and that was Paul Robeson. Those of you who don't know Paul Robeson, he was born in the late 1890s, and he was a well-known actor, opera singer, an all-American athlete in both football and track, and he was an African American. He was a Renaissance man. What really made Paul Robeson stand out to me was that he didn't just stand up and speak out for the rights of colored people at the time they were known. He stood up and wanted to speak out for human rights, for the workers. I have a t-shirt that shows, that's colorized, that shows him on these very docks of the port of Oakland, where he's speaking to the crowd. And what you don't see is on the outskirts are union busters on the outside, because the ports were pretty much run by the shipping companies. And unions were in their infancy in growing in power. And they needed to really be empowered by knowing they had something to fight for. And here is this one solitary man of color, man of substance, man of value, who spoke to them and said that your right to get an equal wage and to have reasonable working conditions was worth fighting for. He didn't care what color they were. He didn't care what religion they had. He cared that they were human beings who needed to be valued. I hope that each one of you realizes that that is something we can carry to each other when we treasure ourselves and see that treasure in other people. So with that, I say, I introduce you to what I know, sign my checks, and you can sign one for me if you like. E. Tyree Johnson Jr. But more importantly, know that you now have an enigma wrapped in a puzzle, surrounded by a mystery. And a Toastmaster.
Yes, not everybody here is old enough to remember Paul Rose. But he had the most fantastic voice that you have ever heard. And if you ever get a chance to see a rebroadcast of his biography on NPR, don't miss it, because it'll give you a really good idea of what kind of person he was. And thank you, Tyree. That was a great speech. And I am really very confused by this agenda. This was sent to me from Haiti.
We're international.
It's an international agenda. And I had hoped to have 2 speakers.
Do you need another speaker? Do we have time?
Yes, we do.
Do you want to go? Sure, I
Not- I could give a speech.
can go. Or I can go.
What are you doing?
I'm an evaluator.
You're an evaluator.
Or you can go and I can evaluate you.
I'm going to do a second speech. And my speech is called Birthdays. And it's 5 to 7 minutes. The reason that I want to talk about birthdays is I just had one yesterday.
Happy birthday!
I turned 42.
Awesome.
All right.
If you can believe that. Because you have to understand that age is a number, and so are birthdays. If in some countries, your birthday, your first birthday, starts the day you're born. In the United States, our birthday starts at 0. And we have to live a whole year before we can be 1. Even though we spent 9 months getting ready to come out. And so I started at 1, along with all of the other Americans here. There's lots of milestones in birthdays. You know about the terrible 2s and the terrible 3s, which unfortunately repeat themselves 10 years later. And then there's the fearful 4s. When children who used to jump in the water in any pool without invitation suddenly walk around the big pool, as my young son did, and I'm not going in there. This bathtub's too big for me. That's what he told me when he was 4. And when he was 5, he joined the swim team and became an AAU swimmer. So in that 1 year, that bathtub must have shrunk to this size. And then the milestones go on. Some people, it's 13. And of course, for the girls, it's always sweet 16. And then at 18, you get old enough to vote. You are now a grown-up. In fact, at 18 these days, you're legal. When I was 18, I still couldn't get a driver's license because I lived in New York and you had to be 21, which was then the legal age. So you see, age and birthdays signify something. Birthdays can be fun. Or as some people who've heard me speak before about one of my birthday parties knows that sometimes when you have a birthday party, you don't want to go to it. That's part of being a teenager. So then you grow up and you get married and you have children and you get to another milestone, you turn 30. Oh, getting old. And then they put up the black sign for 40, you know, about turning 40. Of course, a lot of you are probably too young to know about these things. And then it goes on through the years. And pretty soon, you decide that age is just a number, and you're only as old as you feel, which is why I'm 42. Of course, all my kids are older than I am. I told them if they wanted to get older than their mother, that they could do that, and I wouldn't stop them. And that's what has happened. And last night, to celebrate my 42nd birthday, we all went out to dinner, and I had my grandchildren there, my 2 sons, and my daughter. And we had a wonderful time, and that's how I celebrated my 42nd birthday, by taking my family out to dinner. Because what happens as you grow older, your kids say, "Mom, you shouldn't have to do all that work. Let us do it." And so you never get a chance to do anything for your kids. So remember, everyone, when your birthday comes around, enjoy it, and don't think about getting older, because you're never going to get older if you don't want to. Okay, now I shall go back to being Toastmaster. And our
You
next...
didn't shake your own hand there.
I'd like to now call upon our general evaluator, Ken Bukowski, who is going to let us know how the meeting is going, and he is also going to introduce the evaluators. Ken?
Well, the meeting's off to a slow start, but has lots of positive energy, lots of positive people, and just happy to be here. And the evaluation team, okay, who's going to evaluate Tyree? Okay, well, Phil, would you come up please and evaluate Tyree?
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster, and most especially you, Mr. E. You can tell that Tyree is an experienced speaker, not only by the delivery, but he did something that every professional knows how to do. He framed his speech for you before he got ready to speak. That's kind of like a teaser or a tickler, or it gets the audience warmed up. Now what he did in particular was, for the benefit of the guest, he explained what the icebreaker was all about. Because the icebreaker, for everybody in Toastmasters, knows that that's the very first speech that you give to the Toastmasters group to introduce yourself to the rest of the club, the Toastmasters club. In normal situations, the evaluator would stand and read the objectives of his speech. And the idea being that at the end of his speech, Tyree would have covered those objectives as they were set forth in the Toastmasters criteria. I also like the way Tyree has an invigorating smile that invites everybody in. And if you haven't already noticed, smiles are contagious. In his speech, he let us know that Paul Robeson, as a Renaissance man, was someone who also shared similar values to Tyree, as he spoke to us about the metaphor between the civil rights and the human rights. And he wrapped this all up in the mystery as mystery. What I particularly liked about this speech was it wasn't the normal biographical sketch, and I call that name, rank, and serial number. He moved us past that, and he got everyone into it, and it was a moment where you could be inspired to know of his values. I'm supposed to give something to Tyree that I think he might be able to use to enhance this speech. That's very difficult for a man who's spent so many years in Toastmasters and has done so well. The only thing that I could think of is there's so much more to him because he is so multidimensional that I wished we had an opportunity for the guests to learn more about Tyree Zeal, because he has an ambition that is off the Richter scale when he gets going. And I wish he had found a way to embody that in his speech. And there were a few flashing moments when I noticed that he actually gave the respect to the visitors by maintaining the eye contact. And for all of us in Toastmasters, that is very important, that not only we look at the guests, but make the guests feel welcome. And so I would hope that some of what we saw here today through Tyree would be something that all of us could learn to pattern from, so we all could be speakers and evolve from our own mysteries.
Now there's an accomplishment, right there, that's the example we want to follow. Did we skip table topics?
We're gonna do that, I guess, after, I guess.
Okay, well, but the timer needs to evaluate those too. So why don't we go to table topics?
More evaluation.
Ernestine.
Oh, that's right, I'm sorry, who's evaluating? Cynthia. Welcome, Cynthia.
Wow. So Ernestine, you had your birthday just 2 days ago and last night, and in the moment, we needed another speech, and you stepped up. It's awesome. I love it. I mean, you've been in Toastmasters, well, not that long, because you're only 42.
2006.
2006. Wow. And that professionalism was amazing, that you came up and with the speech, and you had a progression. There was a chronological order, and I loved. I've all heard of the terrible twos, but I had never heard of the fearful fours, and that was just a really great phrase to pull forward and tie it into your son, and then how he progressed from that fear to being on the team, and then that you progressed it further and further down the line as you grew up. But you always reiterated that it's only a number. And I loved at the end where you said that you don't have to grow old unless you want to. And I think that we don't grow old when we're in our hearts and we're living authentically. And so I love the way that you're very storytelling and you share with us. We're really connected. I felt like I was listening by the fire. Very, very relaxed and storytelling kind of way that you shared with us. And there's not a lot to, just like Philip said about Tyree, there's not a lot to add to it. The only thing I would add is movement in the stage, especially the chronological order. If we start over here, this is the past, like you're reading a book from left to right. And so you could have started with the terrible 2s and 3s and then the fearful 4s and then progressed. And then that would keep the, each step would be a different point. That's always a good, we'll call it a hologram. So this is, your toddler years, and then maybe your teenage years, your 16 and 18, and then your 30s and your terrible 40 would be here, and then coming back at the end and telling us your speech. Especially if it's something where it's hard to remember all the points for you or for the audience, because it's really helpful when they can see that progress. So I loved your speech, I loved your storytelling, and I love your impromptu nature and willingness to serve. Thank you.
All right, should we hold up the rest of the evaluation, because,
We finished.
We were finished.
oh, okay, great. We just finished it in the other club, I mean, so.
Oh,
I got
okay.
mixed up. Okay, so, let me welcome the Toastmasters back for the tabletop.
Or, no, table topics first, which is it you, Philip?
No, Patricia.
Oh, it's Patricia?
Okay.
Okay. A very organic agenda.
You will.
Okay.
Yeah, signed up
So,
for it.
Well, I had Philip down for table topics,
But it's
No, but she
Patricia.
had actually signed up for it.
but
I just
Patricia
shot
had
emailed
actually
us
signed
before.
up for it and
She had signed up.
prepared, and I didn't know. Nobody told me.
It was dropped in the ocean from Haiti.
It was floating in a bottle. And I will let Patricia explain for our guests what table topics are. And if any one of the guests would like to take part, please indicate. And you want to move this back? Okay. Thank you, Patricia.
So table topics is an opportunity to speak on the fly. And you stand up and you say whatever I ask you, you give your answer, or you say, I don't know anything about that, but I would rather talk about this. So you just speak on your feet. It's an opportunity to practice impromptu speaking. So do you want to play? Yes? You want to play? Okay. So I'm going to talk about astrology. It's a horoscope for April. How many of you were born in April? Oh, appropriate. You're born in April. Okay, so I'm going to read what it says for a day, and then I'm going to ask one of you, do you agree with it? Do you disagree? How would you interpret it? Or would you rather talk about something else? Okay, so here we go.
One quick point of order. So I'm timing in place of Patricia, and for impromptu speaking, speak 1 to 2 minutes. You'll see a green at 1, yellow at 1.5, and red at 2 minutes. And there's a 30-second grace period.
All right, so here we go. Emotions will spin out of control if you let trivial matters get to you. Keep your life simple. Get your chores out of the way and keep the peace. Let's start. Sure.
We do a lot of handshaking and clapping.
Okay, good. So, do you agree, disagree?
I agree.
You agree, and talk to us a bit about why.
I agree, keeping the peace is critical. It helps us spring forward into action. And if we're not keeping that peace, we can get sidetracked, we can go on tangents, we can lose our energy, and not have the impact that we're looking to have. And as a Taurus, my birthday's coming up, and I'm hoping it's not the black, because it's the 40th. So I was thinking that waited until the 50th. So I think that the age I'm going to choose is 27, because I loved my 27th year. And when I got to 30, I felt so empowered. So I would love to repeat that energy in my life and keep springing. I just want to keep using that word, springing and springing and springing forward in my life and all that I do. How am I doing that time?
You're almost there, but keep going.
Keep going. Do you mind repeating the other part? Because I remember keeping the peace.
Keeping the peace, don't let trivial matters get to you. Keep your life simple. Get your chores out of the way.
Yes, yes, yes. So how many of you can make things more complex than they
Oh,
need
yes.
to be? Does
Oh,
anyone
yeah.
struggle with that? Can I give you a tip?
Please.
Okay. So what I find when I do that, because I'm really good at making things complex, is I have myself sit and center. Take a deep breath. You can take a deep breath with me. Make this interactive. Beautiful. And then I sit and I think, how can I make this more fun, easier, so that I can move on to the next thing that I enjoy? And I listen to the answer. If it doesn't come, I write the same question with my dominant hand, and then I will write the answer with my non-dominant hand, so that I'm utilizing both parts of my brain. And it's amazing the wisdom and clarity that comes, and the calmness you feel. So that's it.
Here's another statement. Let's go with this one. Check out your options and make a decision. Sign up for an activity or event that interests you, but reserve the judgment. I'll do it again. Check out your options and make a decision. Sign up for an activity or event that interests you, but reserve judgment.
Doing things that are different keeps us young. To our lady here who's 42, you probably do lots of different things. So sign up for an activity. That could be lots of different things. Try something new. Try something different. You may discover skills that you didn't know that you had. I never thought I could do anything artsy until I signed up one time for a picture matting class. And it actually has become a hobby of mine that I enjoy. Saved a lot of money over the years, not spending $200 at Aaron Brothers to have something framed. And as you mentioned, it uses the right brain. I'm a financial planner, so I do a lot of left brain stuff. So it's nice doing something new, doing something different, being challenged. There's actually evidence that when we expand our brain and expand our emotional outlets and our experiences, that we stay younger longer, actually staves off senility, keeps us more physically healthy. So I think checking out new things, signing up for new things, doing new experiences is just a part of a well-lived life for those of us who are young and young at heart. Here.
Mary.
How many more do we have time for? It's only 10 to. We
Okay.
have a break coming at 7.
So that gives us
Okay,
maybe
we could probably do 2 more.
2 more. Okay, so how many of you are Scorpios? No Scorpios?
Scorpios?
Born in October?
Born in October 23rd through November 21? You know, I'm a firm believer that these horoscopes give a concept or an idea, and it doesn't matter what your sign is. Really? So I'm just going to read this statement and pick somebody, okay? So here we go. Here's one. Taking action may be your way of getting what you want, but do your research before getting started. Yes.
All right.
Welcome, fellow Toastmasters and most honored guests, including the most honored myself. The question was about a project and about doing your research. Well, my BFF is always reinventing herself, and she doesn't just reinvent herself in the spring. She reinvents herself every other month, and you know, she dusts off books and decides to spring off all that old stuff. Well, lately, I've been single for quite a number of years, haven't had sex in a number of years, and recently I decided I think it's time. I think it's time. So first, I put an ad out there for men, because I said, I'm not really ready for intercourse right now. So I think I just want to try cuddling. So I'm looking for people that want to cuddle and watch TV. So I thought that was safe. And then I sent an ad out there, and all these men kept on sending me their penises.
Oh my God.
What does cuddling have to do with that? And so my BFF said, Lexi, maybe if all you want is cuddling, maybe you ought to try women.
Oh, okay.
So I put an ad out there for women that love to cuddle. Well, that didn't go too well. The women were super duper emotional, demanding, pushy, telling me this is what I expected of our relationship. So now I'm back on men again. And I've talked to a number of people, and I'm just surprised. One guy wrote me and he says that he's really kind of into the feminine side. In the picture he sent me, he looked like a woman and he had a Hello Kitty bag. And my BFF says, Lexi, I think that's way too far. I think you just better stick with somebody that's normal and, make it clear. Because this guy I talked to last night, he just kept talking about phone sex, and I'm like, no, cuddling, that's it. That's all I want to do. Thank you.
Thanks for going on way too long.
Well, it's hard to follow that. So, here we go. Here we go.
Any hints, let me know after.
Let's go to one of the more earthy sides. And we'll see what they come up with. So here's the comment. Get together with someone you love, and you will be able to turn a negative day into a positive, fruitful experience. Get together with someone you love, and you will be able to turn a negative day into a positive and fruitful experience.
Oh, we got a volunteer.
Yes.
Volunteer, all right. What's your name?
My name is Raylene. A negative day is never a negative day when you have someone you love. Essentially, waking up each day with someone that you can cuddle, someone that you can gaze into their heart, into their eyes, into their soul, by simply turning to them. So making today a negative day is simply impossible. Look in the mirror. That's the first person to love. Look in the mirror. So today started off as a negative day, or so I thought. I woke up, I opened my eyes. My brain had told me today's not a good day. And then I opened my eyes, and I looked at my partner. I said, woo! I got me a partner. Today's a good day. And then I said, I love you. Today's a good day. I looked in the mirror and I said, it's okay, you have 40 pounds to lose. Today's a good day to start. Today's a good day to love. Thank you.
And our time is done, I believe. And thank you very much, all of the guests who participated and shared their thoughts on the horoscope. And it's just as I thought, it doesn't matter what your sign is, the wisdom is there.
And now we will continue with the evaluation portion of the meeting. Let's have have the word of the day. Who's doing that?
Me.
Cynthia.
Okay, so word of the day was spring, and Rebecca used it, I think, 3 or 4 times, and Lexi used it once. And I didn't count any ums or ahs except for one for Lexi's very racy speech. I think we will forgive it one in that amazing impromptu speech. It was really beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. And now our timer, Sarah? Who's the timer?
Patricia.
So the timer report. Well, we had great success tonight. Everyone was within the time, except for our dear Alexis. I went over only a little bit.
Well worth it.
And I keep the meeting late. Okay.
We are now going to take a short break. Like, what time is it? It is until 7:10.